Alright guys, so we have to talk about the upcoming BRICS summit because this could be a big one. And this might just be the start of a historic shift. And over the past few months, China has been dropping clues that things won't be the same. Now back when President Xi he met with Putin in Moscow, he gave the world a chilling warning. Right now, there are changes, the likes of which we haven't seen for 100 years, and we are the ones driving these changes together. The world order is shifting, and BRICS is looking to build an economic bloc to challenge the Western powers. And what we are seeing is history in the making. It is as important as the fall of the Berlin Wall or the creation of the Bretton Woods system. Now, BRICS is moving to expand their ranks, which will likely happen in a few months' time. Now, in August 2023, we could see the group that makes up 40% of the world get even stronger. Now, I want us to take a look at this picture. This is a gathering of the BRICS foreign ministers in Cape Town, South Africa. And in the front row, we have the ministers of China, Brazil, South Africa, India, and Russia all seated down. A very nice class photo, right? But focus on the standing row behind the members. These are the countries they are looking to join the BRICS bloc. We have Iran, UAE, and Saudi Arabia all standing together. Now, these are massive, just massive oil giants turning up. These are 3 of the 19 countries looking to join the bloc. It is signaling the start of a new era. So why is BRICS looking to expand? And more importantly, why are there so many countries looking to gain membership, right? It's because the world is looking for alternatives to the current world order. Many countries, they just tired of the West imposing their will. Now, if the Saudis and the Iranians are fine working together, you know they're really tired of the G7 and friends. India's foreign minister Jai Shankar said it best. During the meeting, he stressed that BRICS must send out a strong message that the world is multipolar, that it is rebalancing, and that old ways cannot address new situations. And he goes on to add, at the heart of the problems we face is economic concentration that leaves too many nations at the mercy of too few. And I think it's very obvious what he's referring to. Jai Shankar is talking about the US dollar and the Western financial system. But in order to do this, BRICS can't remain as a 5-member bloc. It is still not strong enough to drive change, and that's why this August, it is very likely there will be a 6 or even 7 member in the group. Now, the problem with BRICS had in the past was having no cohesive mission. China and India still have long-standing border disputes which aren't resolved yet. Russia, on the other hand, was working closely with Europe. Remember, they built the Nord Stream pipelines connecting Germany to Russia, supplying all this gas to the Eurozone. But something big happened in 2022 and it woke up not just the BRICS bloc but the entire world. And that was the US weaponizing the dollar and freezing Russia's central bank assets. And we all know the story, right? But that wasn't the end. They cut Russia off the dollar system and it caused a lot of short term pain. We're talking about the Russian economy slipping to recession in 2022 and then defaulting on its debt. Now, either one is an economic crisis by itself. So here's the reality. Every country today is still dependent on the dollar system. And let's just use China for example. I think we can all agree that China isn't a big fan of the United States. But no matter their differences, China has no choice but to transact in dollars and hold investments in dollars. We can see for the majority of 2022, China has been dumping their US treasuries. It has gone from over $1 trillion to under 860 billion, but there's no way China can afford to reduce that amount to zero just yet. They still have to hold a ton of treasuries, and the reason is very simple. They still need dollars to import key commodities like oil and gas. Over 70% of global transactions are still done in dollars, even in Asia. Whether it's wheat, natural gas, or even gold, most countries price their exports in dollars. Plus, they also need the reserve currency to strengthen or weaken the Chinese yuan. Because all currencies are still pegged to the dollar, there's no escape. Now, if the yuan gets too strong, China have to buy more dollars. If it gets too weak, they'll sell dollars in the open market to prop up their currency. But things are changing, guys. Pulling up a story from Bloomberg, backlash against the weaponized dollar is growing across the world. Countries are beginning to realize that the US is using the reserve currency to fight geopolitical battles, and the rest of the world, especially BRICS, is looking to lessen reliance. And consider this fact, according to the Bank for International Settlements, 88% of all global forex transactions are in dollars. And because banks have accounts at the Federal Reserve, they are susceptible to US sanctions. Their money is floating somewhere in New York. And countries are realizing that, hey, we can't be too dependent on the dollar because we could lose access to our funds. Now, the usage of the dollar as a reserve currency has been dropping over the last 2 decades. It is a slow burn, going from 72% to under 59%. But notice the time frame. This move took decades. And this is what BRICS is trying to change. Because of the Russian sanctions, there's now a rallying cry for change. So we can expect the dollarization to proceed faster than before. But the dollar is only one part of the equation. Another big reason for the BRICS expansion is to grow their economies away from the West. And I want us to consider this pivotal statement from South Africa's foreign minister. And during the meeting, she stated how the developed countries have never met their commitments to the developing world and are trying to shift all responsibility to the global south. So let's dissect her claims and understand why this is the big driver for the BRICS to come together. And what she's referring to is the investments being pumped into Africa. Now, since 2010, US investments have been dropping like a rock until it went negative for over 5 years, and that meant more money is leaving Africa than into the continent. Now, China, on the other hand, has been consistently investing into the region until they have overtaken the US since 2012. And in a story from Bloomberg, US fights for influence in Africa where China, Russia looms large. And I think we can recall Janet Yellen's African tour back in January, right? America is trying to regain lost ground, but it might be too late. Africa has been ignored for far too long. And this last minute scramble by Yellen and Kamala isn't going to work. We can see that from 2016 to 2020, China has invested over $70 billion into Africa, followed by the UAE and then the rest of the Western world. But even if you add up the money from the US, France, the UK, and Germany, it is still less than China by a big margin. So it's understandable why South Africa feels abandoned by the West. And to counter this, the BRICS are looking to invest amongst themselves. They are going to rely less on Western money and they are moving to fund their own expansion. And in order to do this, the BRICS Bank is about to expand its membership with Saudi Arabia as the latest entrant. And this is a big deal, guys, because the Saudis, they have a ton of money which will now flow into the developing countries from the BRICS Bank. And I want us to really think through this. If the bloc can now fund its own expansion and help the developing world, do you think this accelerates the dollarization or not? Because the funding will likely come in other national currencies outside of the dollar. Listen to what Brazil's foreign minister said. BRICS is an indispensable mechanism for building a multipolar world order that reflects the devices and needs of developing countries. And we need to wake up and smell the coffee, guys. The sands are shifting beneath our feet. But a big shout out to our sponsor today, Private Internet Access. We all know the importance of keeping some money outside of the banking system, especially in gold. We want privacy for our wealth, and you should be treating your data the same way. Now, using the internet without PIA is like holding your wallet in your back pocket. All it takes is one fast tip to kiss all your money goodbye. Now, online browsing isn't as safe as it used to be. You don't want your identity stolen and any of your financial accounts compromised. And this is why having a VPN is just so useful. It hides your IP address and encrypts your internet connection through an encrypted tunnel. And that keeps your data activity confidential away from the hackers. Now, PIA is completely easy to use. You can download the app to your phone or to your desktop and get started. In fact, you can use it to protect all your devices. There's no limit to the number of devices you can use it on. And it works for all platforms including Windows, macOS, and Android. Now, PIA servers covers over 83 countries, including each and every US state. And if I am accessing my trading accounts, I want to make sure my details are completely private. Now, best of all, PIA is risk-free. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee and 24/7 customer support is there to help you. You can get started with private internet access today and get an 83% discount using the link in the description below. Plus, you'll also enjoy 4 months for free just for being an awesome subscriber to the channel. So check them out and get protected today. So it's very obvious what the end game of the BRICS is. They want to create a multipolar order. They are looking to give the world more alternatives. But in order to do that, they need the Middle East. And we have said that many times that the new global order will be decided by Western Asia. Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the UAE are key for the BRICS bloc to stand a chance to flip the script. And we've heard 1,000 times of a new BRICS currency coming, but there is a fundamental problem with it. The BRICS economies are just too different to agree to a common currency just like that, right? It won't happen in a matter of months. And I really don't see either China or India abandoning their national currencies anytime soon. And I believe over time, a common trading unit will evolve from the BRICS bloc, but not during this upcoming summit. But what's more realistic is the dollarization through increased bilateral trade. And that is a better discussion that we can have. And this is why the Middle East joining BRICS will be a big game changer. And let's quickly recap just how much bargaining power the Middle East has. Just Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Iran alone accounts for 20% of global oil production. But there is a big difference between the production of US oil and Middle Eastern oil, guys. America's oil mainly flows into the domestic consumption, flows into the domestic markets, but the majority of oil from the Middle East is exported to the rest of the world. If we rank countries by oil exports, it is clear that the Middle East tops the list. Together with Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the UAE, they export more than the entire Western world twice over. And this means they can actually dictate what the oil market has to pay to access the physical commodity itself. And right now, it is still in US dollars, but that could change in a hurry. What we could start to see is the BRICS nations buying oil and gas from the Middle East outside of the dollar, right? They would use their own local currencies. And this means China will be using the yuan, while India will be using the rupee to buy energy, settling oil trades in their own local currencies. This is also a form of de-dollarization. And that's why it's very likely that something big will happen come August, right? According to South Africa, the BRICS foreign ministers are aiming to complete a framework for admitting new members before the actual summit. So we can prepare for fireworks to come in the months ahead. But I want us to circle back to Saudi Arabia because they are likely to be the next country to join. Now, if a BRICS expansion really comes, the Saudis are perhaps the most likely entrant to the bloc. Now, during the Friends of BRICS meeting, the Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal made a powerful statement, and it reveals why the kingdom is very keen to join. And listen to this, the kingdom remains the BRICS group's largest commercial partner in the Middle East. The total value of bilateral trade has exceeded $160 billion in 2022. And this shows clearly why Saudi Arabia is pivoting towards the BRICS nations. They want to secure their economy because trade with the group has been increasing. It has doubled over the past 5 years. But pay attention to this next part because it clearly highlights Saudi Arabia's problem with the US. And he added that Saudi Arabia shares basic values with the BRICS countries, such as relations between countries are based on the principles of respect for sovereignty and non-interference. Now, focus on the word non-interference. That means allowing a country to govern itself without imposing any foreign policy together with trade deals. And this is the main reason why the West is losing touch with the Middle East. This is why there's a power vacuum in the region that is slowly being filled by the BRICS bloc. Now, Saudi Arabia needs to secure their oil revenues, and that's why they are looking to the east. They are looking towards India, China, and the BRICS. We just need to observe the recent oil production cuts by Saudi Arabia that's about to wreck the global markets. I think this move is just going to tilt the world into recession because it is reviving the inflation crisis. And we all know what that means, right? Central banks will hike even further. And in the latest report, Saudi Arabia is moving to cut oil output by 1 million barrels a day in July. And this is a protective measure to push oil prices higher because organic demand is slowly coming down. And that's why the Saudis are moving closer towards the BRICS bloc. That is where their biggest market is. They are looking at BRICS as a gateway to the developing world. Now the West has said time and time again, we are going renewable, we are moving away from fossil fuels, we are going carbon neutral by 2050, right? And if you're Saudi Arabia, it only makes sense to move where your customers are. So the stage is set and the next move is in August, and how groundbreaking this meeting will be really depends on if they expand or not, right? I think the dollarization train, this train can't be stopped. We are really past the point of no return and it's just a matter of time frames. We are already seeing a swath of countries already looking to break free, right? China and Russia, they're obviously trading outside of the dollar. You have Iraq outlawing the dollar and central banks moving to gold. And now India is also talking about trading using the rupee. Now, all these moves individually, they don't really mean much. But if you add up all these little pieces, it starts to make a difference. It's death by 1,000 cuts. Now, there won't be one big climatic event that will displace the dollar. I don't believe that will happen. It will likely be a slow burn where one day we suddenly wake up and the dollar's market share is now 50%, 40%, or 30%. And when that happens, as will really hit the fan. But let me know what you think. How big will the upcoming BRICS summit be? Will this start a shift in the world order? Let me know in the comments below. Stay safe, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe as we navigate through these crazy times.